What's up, guys? Eli here, back for another album review. Today we're going to be talking about a band kind of newly formed out of Bellingham, Washington, Seattle area. They're called Horrid Sigil with their debut album, Dead Obelisk. Now, this band it features two members from the band Black Breath. If you might remember that band, they were signed, I think, to Southern Lord Records, if I remember correctly. So one of the members of Horrid Sigil messaged me on Instagram, as the story goes, and it was pretty cool. He's like, hey, man, I believe he watched my channel. I'm pretty sure that's what he said. He was like, hey, and I know that, well, he had to have watched my channel because he's like, I know you're not the hugest melodic death metal fan, but, we formed this melodic death metal band, and I think you might actually dig this because I do like some melodic death metal, some of the earlier At the Gates, In Flames, early Arch Enemy, and a bunch of others. That early to mid 90s stuff I do like. The modern stuff that came later in the 2000s, not as much. So I was like, wow, I dug the confidence. I was like, wow, clearly these guys are serious about their music. They believe in themselves. And they're like, love to send you a link to listen to the album, and we'll send you the CD when it's out. And they did that. Pretty cool. This came out on a label called Hot Mass Records. There's the back there. There's the inside. And they sent me this mini poster that they printed out with a note on the back. Pretty damn cool. Now I'll get into the review of Horrid Sigil, Dead Obelisk. So track 1, Ethereal Appear, starts off with a slow drum beat that leads to the guitar riff that opens the album around the 20-second mark. And honestly, this is the riff you want to hear opening a melodic death metal album, because this is clearly this is classic early to mid-90s sound, and I dig it right away. And this, at least to me, sounds like a love letter to Slaughter of the Soul by At the Gates, of course, and it just works so damn well, and it put a smile on my face pretty much instantly. Vocals appear around the 40-second mark, and to me they sound kind of somewhere in between Thomas Lindberg and Anders Frieden, and this track really has that Gothenburg flavor we all love, with some thrash influences similar to what you hear again on Slaughter of the Soul. You might hear me name drop that a few times, but this is no clone. I'm already thinking that even if this were to end up being melodic death metal comfort food, I'm okay with that. But not to get ahead of myself, it isn't. This album actually has a lot of its own ideas that were unique, that I've never really heard before, especially on a melodic death metal album. So track 2, the title track, Dead Obelisk, starts off with a driving thrash beat and melodic riff that is nice and speedy before kind of dropping into a chug riff with a ton of groove. Those two parts kind of alternate, and it's actually kind of unique sounding in its own way. I should mention the vocal production. The vocals are kind of intentionally buried in the mix just a little bit, but I'm not saying that as a negative because it really works. It adds to the atmosphere of the album, I would say. At the minute 12-second mark, you get a guitar solo, not super flashy, it's to the point, but it sounds cool, and the tone is awesome. I will also mention these kind of faint industrial noises that pop up from time to time. It took me a bit to notice because they aren't supposed to be distracting. It adds kind of little atmospheric touches, and I really like it. Around the 2-minute, 23-second mark, you get a super catchy and heavy breakdown, adding a lot of groove, and it's instantly memorable. For about 50 seconds or so, that's, my favorite part of the song. Maybe not as good as the first song, but still a really good song. Track 3, Dream of the Stellar Horde, Part 1. Now this is where the album gets really unique and shows a pretty serious amount of ambition, and that this band is not afraid to take risks. The song starts off with the sound of a rainstorm, which admittedly I'm kind of a sucker for. I love rain. But at the 6-second mark, you get some piano, something I'm also a sucker for. And around the minute 5 mark, sparse guitar chords drop in. And around a minute 38 seconds, the great melodic death metal riffs that this band are so good at just kind of attack you out of nowhere. And it's after the 2-minute mark, the drums finally come in, the vocals kick in, but the song does not meander at all, even though it's over 8 minutes in length. In fact, I like how each instrument kind of arrives at different times. It has a really nice build-up. Overall, this song is kind of fairly progressive. I'm realizing around the 4-minute mark, and the guitar solos around the 5 and 6-minute marks are really cool, and kind of just what I wanted to hear on a song like this. And the final track, track 4, Dream of the Stellar Horde Part 2, starts off with some more of the cold industrial sounds and some keyboards, which for a closing track, I'm really digging. The atmospheric cosmic sound is the type of thing that I dig, and it really suits the album. Just enough experimentation to not get the band, lumped in with hordes of other bands, but probably not weird enough to turn most melodic death metal fans away. So this song is basically the outro for the album, and it's an instrumental. I'd say perfect way to close. Anyways, that's it for this short but awesome album. Doesn't overstay its welcome and kind of leaves you wanting more. I think this album is arriving at a perfect time, really. I mean, 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, whatever, it would have little chance not to fade into obscurity with all the melodic death metal bands that were coming out around that time. But with bands right now, bands like Majesty's popping up out of nowhere and getting some attention, I'd say there's plenty of room for Come Horrid Sigil. So you can stream the entire album on Bandcamp, and it is available for pre-order. Actually, I believe it comes out tomorrow. So that's it. Definitely check out Come Horrid Sigil, debut album Dead Obelisk. It's a really good melodic death metal album. If you like melodic death metal, you really can't go wrong, and I think you would dig this, because I did. So anyways, that's it for me. I got to get back to work, but I hope you guys are having a great day, great week, wherever we're at. Take care, guys. Cheers.